Yo, what is going on, everyone? My name is Nick, or the Notorious Fantasy, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a 12-team PPR mock draft from the 9th overall spot using Sleeper. The roster positions for today's mock are to be 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, 2 flexes, a kicker, defense, and 5 bench spots. But before we do a nice deep dive into this mock draft, I would like to ask that if you guys are new to the channel and you do end up enjoying today's video, that you please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And while you're down there, whether you are new to the channel or not, please make sure that you do leave a like on today's video. So without further ado, let's get into this 12-team PPR mock draft on Sleeper from the 9th overall spot. If you guys would like access to my half PPR or full PPR cheat sheets, they are available. Link in the video description on Patreon. You get both of them for $12.50. So the draft here begins with Jamar Chase, Saquon Barkley, Jahmyr Gibbs, Bijan Robinson, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, Derrick Henry, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. A very running back heavy start to the draft with the first 4 picks, 3 of them being RBs. Now, Bijan being the 3rd running back off of the board is definitely different, but it is certainly possible if your league mates are very high on Saquon. And with Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamar Chase is going to be the pick number 1 in, I'd probably say, like 50% of leagues. It'll probably be Jamar Chase or Bijan Robinson 50-50. And then obviously there's going to be someone who just loves Derrick Henry at the 101, or they want to take Patrick Mahomes 101. There's always going to be leagues like that. So based upon the players available on the board right now, Puka Nacua is definitely one of my highest ranked players. Now, with Matthew Stafford seemingly back at practice, I definitely think that the needle needs to be moved up on Puka Nacua, because if you were someone that was nervous and you were waiting to hear more news about Matthew Stafford, you definitely want to get higher on Puka Nacua, because even with Devontae Adams there, I think Puka Nacua has a shot of being a top 3, maybe even the wide receiver number 1 in fantasy football. Also in consideration would be Malik Nabers. Malik Nabers was dealing with a couple of injuries, but now he was back at practice today on Tuesday. So if you're worried about that, he would move back up your board as well. So for me, it would be Puka, Malik Nabers, or Christian McCaffrey. The way I would make this decision is very simple. For one, how do you want to start your draft? Do you want to have that locked and loaded running back 1 in Christian McCaffrey? Or are you comfortable taking the gamble and seeing who's going to come back around to you with your next pick at the running back position? Maybe you might have to reach in that scenario for a running back that typically wouldn't go in that range. Or you are comfortable waiting even further until the 3rd round or the 4th round to select your first running back. Or maybe you have balls of steel and you're going to do 0 running back, which frankly I just don't think is all that good this season based upon how running backs are falling in drafts. So for me, it's going to be Puka, Malik, or Christian McCaffrey. A lot of the time, I'm just going to lean with Christian McCaffrey. Why is that? Because I genuinely believe that Christian McCaffrey has the upside to be the running back 1. I get there is so much risk with Christian McCaffrey. I get that he ended up fucking you directly in the ass last season, but when Christian McCaffrey is healthy, he has that league-winning upside. Not just running back 1 by a significant margin compared to the running back 2. So for me, I am going to be taking Christian McCaffrey anytime he falls past the 106. A lot of the time, if I'm the 1.7, I'm taking either McCaffrey, Nabers, or Puka Nacua, so I would go with Christian McCaffrey here. Now, in some of your guys' home leagues, everyone is going to be scared to draft Christian McCaffrey, so you might even be able to get him at the 2.4, but I think a lot of people who think critically about the situation, while they may be a little bit nervous to do it, they can acknowledge the crazy upside that Christian McCaffrey has. So for me, at the 1.9, he is an incredibly easy pick. If you wanted to go Nabers or Puka Nacua, I'm not going to judge you at all. Those were the next picks off the board, followed by Ashton Genty, Nico Collins, bdge, as well as Devon Achane. So looking at the running back position, Josh Jacobs is available, Bucky Irving is available, Chase Brown would be available, Kyron, Jonathan Taylor, and I like those running backs, right? I definitely like Josh Jacobs a ton, I like Bucky Irving a ton, I like Chase Brown a ton, I like Kyron Williams at ADP, but for me here, there are too many good wide receivers here, potentially really just one wide receiver here, that I really like, to where I wouldn't be able to reach on Josh Jacobs and miss out on him. Now, in a 12-team league where you're starting just 1 flex, I think Brock Bowers is perfectly fine to be selected here because the tight end position is a little bit more important. The less flexes you have, the less wide receiver spots you have. The more wide receiver spots your league has, the more flex spots your league has, the less important the onesie positions become, in my opinion, because they're taking up less part of your roster. So for me, if this was a one flex league, I'd be fine going Brock Bowers, but even in a one flex league, I am clicking Drake London. I am ready to die on the hill of Drizzy Drake London. I have planted the flag like I was on the moon, the American flag going in the wind on the moon. That is how I feel about Drake London. With Michael Penix Jr., Drake London was a target hog. And I believe with Michael Penix Jr. in his second year in the NFL, really year 1.5, isn't really his true second year, but also not truly his first year because he started 3 games. Drake London is going to get fed game in and game out. I understand that the Atlanta Falcons kind of just have a stink on them. You think of the Atlanta Falcons recently, and they haven't been this fantasy football sanctuary where you draft a player on that team and you automatically win your league because the offense is that fucking good. I understand that they are far from that, but I do like the coach that they got there after they got rid of Arthur Smith. Everything's on the up and up, and I really do believe that Michael Penix is a talented player, and I've always been a Drake London guy. So with the numbers that Drake London was able to put up last season with Michael Penix Jr. under center, I always almost accidentally call him Michael Pittman Jr. With Michael Penix under center, I think that Drake London is going to absolutely demolish his ADP, especially when in some leagues, I'm seeing him go at the 2.9, the 2.10, the 2.11. You should be licking your chops if you can get Drake London that deep on in drafts. So after we went with Drizzy, Drake London, Brock Bowers, Josh Allen, A.J. Brown, Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, Jonathan Taylor, Lamar Jackson, T. Higgins, Tyreek Hill, Lad McConkey, as well as Kyron Williams, James Cook, Chase Brown, Maserati Marv, Breece Hall, and Jalen Hurts. Interesting. We're seeing Hurts go ahead of Jaden Stormy Daniels, which I understand we're drafting with computers, but that could be something that becomes more popular with the fact that Terry McLaurin still hasn't found that contract with the Washington Commanders. They still haven't came to an agreement on the contract. In the preseason game, he wasn't even in the stadium. He wasn't chilling, watching from his box. He was not there. So if Terry McLaurin isn't there, I think that does bump down Jaden Daniels. Does it make him free fall down the rankings? Like, would I rank him as like my quarterback 8? Fuck no, baby. But I might move Hurts over him. I might move Joe Shiesty over him because of that news. Jonathan Taylor, also a guy affected by news. Daniel Jones, Danny Dimes, Danny Stumbles, Danny Fumbles has been named as the QB1 of the Indianapolis Colts. Does that change my opinion on Jonathan Taylor? No, because I honestly thought Jonathan Taylor, I don't really like him in the second round. I'd much more likely take him in the third round. I am worried about his splits from last year. Not very good for a majority of the season. The final 3 games, he's insane in the membrane. I'm worried about that. I think this year we're going to get some Daniel Jones, we're going to get some Anthony Richardson, and it's going to be a shit show. That's just my opinion on things. We also still have no idea what team Brian Robinson Jr. will get traded to, or even if he will get traded at all. And if he doesn't get traded, this might be a running back by committee straight from hell, where any running back you have on the Commanders could just end up completely fucking over your team. So for me here, the pick would be very simple. It's either you take the best tight end available, which would be Trey McBride. You take the potential falling value. You got a guy that sure might be allergic to the end zone, but scores a lot of points because he is very involved in the offense. He gets a whole lot of volume, game in and game out. Or you go with the quarterback here. If you believe Terry McLaurin's coming back, Jaden Stormy Daniels would be fine. But for me, I want to go ahead and get my RB2 because I think in my home league, if this was my home league draft, right, I don't think that Omarion Hampton is going to slide to me inside the 4th round. I don't think he would. Now, in some of your guys' home leagues, where you're not drafting with the sharpest knives in the cupboard, where you're just drafting with your friends, your buddies from college, maybe you're in a family league, maybe you're just drafting with the people in your office, you're drafting with Jim and Pam from the paper company, right, Michael Scott Paper Company, and it just ain't working. They have no idea what the fuck they're doing, so you just are able to get all these crazy values. I think Hampton will clearly be a 3rd round pick by the time a lot of people draft in late August. I've taken Omarion Hampton on a ton of my teams recently, so If you don't want to do that, you would rather just go with someone else, that's fine. I love Alvin Kamara a ton as well. This is a guy that a lot of people are kind of just leaving for dead in fantasy football, despite the fact that he played so well last season. People love to talk about how he's getting older. They love to talk about how the offense is dog shit. And I get the offense is going to be bad, but he is the main piece inside this offense. He's going to see so much receiving work, but I will still lean with Omarion Hampton. Get that youth mixed with my running back with Christian McCaffrey. After Omarion, Chris Breeze, Hampton, we see JSN, Trey McBride, Terry McLaurin, Jaden, Stormy Daniels, Kenneth Walker, as well as George Kittle. So this leaves us in a spot where we might legitimately start the draft with 3 running backs and 1 wide receiver. Now, do you have to start your draft that way? No, I always go into my draft just thinking best player available and kind of having my thoughts on, hey, if I take this player in round 1, how will things swing back to me in round 2? We took McCaffrey because I thought that maybe I would like the wide receiver in this range, and if I didn't, there could still be a running back that falls to me, so I'm fine taking either wide receiver or running back in the first round. So for me here, I would be fine starting my draft off with 3 running backs, but what that means is we are going to have to hammer the wide receiver position after that. If you take 3 running backs this early, you have to fully commit to the wide receiver position after this, because if you don't and you slip in a quarterback, unless of course there's some crazy value, or you slip in a tight end, say Kittle fell all the way back to the 5th round, sure, I'd be fine picking him, but in the 5th round, I'm not taking fucking TJ Hawkinson, Travis Kelce. I'm not reaching to get that tight end when I need more wide receivers on this team in a full PPR league. But we are going to start off this draft very aggressive on the running back position, and that's why I do a lot of these mock drafts, because you want to practice different situations. A lot of the time, you might do this exercise, you might draft 3 running backs, you're like, holy shit, I don't like my quarterback, I don't like my wide receiver 2, my wide receiver 3, this is a stupid decision. Or you can do this and be like, wow, I actually really like how my team came out, even though I didn't think it would end up as good. So that's why we do so many mock drafts. We try out all these different styles. For me, Alvin Kamara would be the pick here, going right at ADP as pick number 40. Again, I get he's getting older. No signs of slowing down, though, last season. Very heavily involved in the receiving game in a full PPR league. Alvin Kamara could be scoring 8, 9, 10 points per game just off of his receiving ability. So for me, I'm going Alvin Kamara. We got the running back core and Omarion Hampton. So after Alvin Kamara, Garrett Wilson, DK Metcalf, Rashee Rice, Joe Shiesty, Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, Chuba Hubbard, Dave Montgomery, James Conner, Sam Laporta, DJ Moore, Patrick Mahomes, Ted McMillan, Cortland Sutton, Zay Flowers, and Devontae Smith. David Montgomery's ADP to me just feels pretty gross. Like, I think David Montgomery will probably finish as a top 18, 20, 24 back. But I think with how people have been talking up David Montgomery's teammate, Jahmyr Gibbs, how all the drumbeat is, hey, Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be seeing more targets out the backfield. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be more involved early on the game. Instead of David Montgomery being in early, it's going to be more Jahmyr Gibbs. David Montgomery kind of just feels like the meh pick, right? Where you pick him, you kind of know what you're getting. He's going to be fine. He's not going to completely ruin your season, but he's also not going to win your league. So for me, I'm definitely taking Chuba ahead of him. I'm taking James Conner ahead of him. I'm taking Pacheco ahead of him. I'm taking Travion Henderson ahead of him. But I might have to move RJ Harvey up because it seems like RJ Harvey's been getting the gawk 9,000 by a lot of the beat reporters. So we're back up on the clock here. And for me, this pick would be easy. A lot of people really like Xavier Worthy, but I just have so many question marks based upon what I saw last season out of Xavier Worthy. So many of the plays that went his way were just designed shit behind the line of scrimmage. So much of his work came with after Rashee Rice got hurt. Now, I understand he was a rookie and Rashee got hurt earlier in the season, so it does make sense that he would get better and better as the season went along. The guy had a big game in the Super Bowl, even though they were getting their back blown out by the Philadelphia Eagles and Cooper DeJean, who is not a safety. But I like the talent of Xavier Worthy. I just have a lot of question marks where I'm not super comfortable drafting him. So for me, I'm going to go ahead and take George Pickens here. I've always been a big fan of the game of George Pickens. The problem with Pickens in fantasy was he's always been really held down by the quarterback play, and the team also never fully committed to him, giving him this very big target share. Now, I understand CeeDee Lamb is still the guy in Jerry's world, right? No one in their right mind, unless you're like some George Pickens dick rider, would be saying that, oh my gosh, George Pickens is going to take over for CeeDee Lamb. But I don't think he needs to in Dallas to see a healthy amount of targets game in and game out. And when Dak Prescott is healthy in the regular season, this is an offense that could be humming. This is an offense that could be scoring a bunch of fantasy points for you. And I think George Pickens is going to be able to have his best year yet over in Dallas. More of a boom or bust option, I would say, compared to being like the super safe option. But I think in Dallas, there will be a lot more safety with George Pickens compared to in Pittsburgh, because he was not even remotely safe in Pittsburgh with Mr. Mike Tomlin. After George Pickens, Jameson Williams, Isaiah Pacheco, Xavier Worthy, Professor X, TJ Hawkinson, Travion Henderson, and Bo Nix. Had we have not went Alvin Kamara, say we replace Alvin Kamara and we take DK Metcalf, who I love right there, or Devontae Adams, right? And then we swing back around, I probably would have taken Travion Henderson, because I just think that when the drum beat is so positive on a guy, what I mean is when the beat reporters are oogling and ogling over the guy, when the coaching staff is oogling and ogling over the guy, when Mike Vrabel is talking up a guy, you want to follow the drum beat. Now, sometimes beat reporters are spitting straight fugaz. They are spitting bullshit, and you will fall for it, and it's like a big trap, like a mouse going to get the cheese, right? But sometimes when you actually can figure out and decipher what's going on, it's a big indicator towards usage, and that's what I'm getting out of Travion Henderson. So we have our 3 running backs, right? We're not taking another running back for a while. We have 2 wide receivers, so we need to keep adding wide receivers unless a quarterback fell or unless a tight end fell. In this case, Baker, he's close to ADP, right? We're at pick 64. He's pick 66. I don't want to take him because he's not falling. Looking at the tight ends, I'm as much of a Mark Andrews guy as it gets, but I'm not going to take Mark Andrews here because I think he could fall and because this would be ahead of his ADP. Before we make this pick, though, I would like to give you guys a quick word for our friend star partner over at Underdog. If you're brand new to Underdog and sign up using promo code Notorious, you'll get a free pick plus a first-time deposit offer up to $1,000 in bonus cash, as well as receiving my draft guide to your email the very next day to the email you used to sign up, as long as you deposited $10 and played through that. If you don't know what Underdog is, it's the best ball platform in the world. You're like, Nick, what's best ball? It's the best part about fantasy football. It's the draft, and that's it. There's no waivers, no trades, no in-season management. Underdog automatically puts the highest scores into your lineup at the end of every single week. So come draft with me over on Underdog. Their biggest contest, Best Ball Mania, $25 to enter, $15 million in total prizes, $2 million to first place. They also have smaller contests like the Puppy with just $5 to enter, $100,000 to first place. So for me, again, we're just going to keep clicking the wide receiver button. Calvin Ridley is almost always the answer to the equation in the 6th round. You don't have a wide receiver you love, you draft Calvin Ridley because Calvin Ridley is easily the projectable number 1 wide receiver on his team. Cam Ward is a much better quarterback than Will Levis, and Cam Ward seems to oogle and ogle over Calvin Ridley being his wide receiver 1. So that will likely equal fantasy success, especially when Calvin Ridley looked good on the field. The ball was just getting thrown nowhere near him. So normally he is the answer. But again, what we try to do in fantasy drafts is not just take the same fucking players every single time, especially in these mock drafts, because look, I take McCaffrey, London, Hampton a lot. So I want to switch it up after this. I want to make things not exactly the same every single time. So that's why we're going to deviate from what we typically do. And we're going to take Jalen Waddle. Now, Jalen Waddle was a big fat bust, just like Tyreek last year. Achane and Jonnu Smith were the guys that were feasting last year, having a feast like in Game of Thrones. If you ever read the Game of Thrones book, George R. R. Martin, he's a fat guy. Nothing wrong with being a little bit chunky, but that guy writes like a fat guy. He writes about every morsel of the food. You can literally envision it. You could probably smell it the way that fat fuck writes it. So that's kind of what I was envisioning Jonnu Smith and Devon Achane doing last season, but no Jonnu Smith anymore. I think we're going to get more design plays to Jalen Waddle. And if Tua can stay healthy, I think Jalen Waddle could really elevate himself to a top 18, maybe even a top 12 finish if the Dolphins offense is firing at all cylinders. Plus, there's kind of the talk of, oh man, Tua doesn't like Tyreek, even though I don't fucking buy into that bullshit. It was just going to throw the ball to whoever's open. Tyreek dealing with the oblique injury. So I think it's fine to take Jalen Waddle in this range. After Jalen waddled away, waddle, Aaron Jones, DeAndre Swift, Calvin Ridley, Chris Olave, Joe Mixon, Travis Kelce, RJ Harvey, Baker Mayfield, Mark Andrews, Tony Pollard, Jerry Jeudy, Evan Ingram, Travis Hunter, Quinshon Judkins, Caleb Johnson, and Jacoby Myers. Now, Quinshon Judkins, we Me personally, like I'm a Frenchman, I thought that Quinshon Judkins was home free for fantasy. Like, sure, he hasn't signed his contract yet, but I thought, you know what? They kind of basically said it was all good. Nothing really happened. But they couldn't prove that it happened, allegedly. And, while it might take him some time to ramp up, he'll be on the Browns. But Quinshon Judkins and the Browns may not reach a deal until the end of the NFL investigation. Who knows how long that's going to take? So, not only was Quinshon Judkins a big question mark because he hasn't been with the team and he's a rookie, now there's even more, like, is he even going to sign the contract? What's going to happen? Lot of question marks. Too many question marks for my liking, in my opinion. Now, if I liked my wide receiver core right here, I'd be perfectly fine taking Jordan Addison. Now, he's not my highest ranked wide receiver if you have the rankings, but he is a guy that prints touchdowns on an offense that I expect to be pretty good with a lot of touchdown upside. We know his suspension. He's getting 3 games. It's not like Rashee Rice where there's a lot of confusion. It's not like Judkins. What the fuck's going to happen with Judkins? We just know. So if you can bank on a bunch of wide receiver points, go ahead and draft him. But I don't think that's as safe with our team, right? So I want to be taking a guy that's playing in week 1. And we're going to go with Rome Odunze. Ben Johnson is, like we've been talking about all this hype. Ben Johnson seems to love Rome Odunze. Ben Johnson seems to just be foaming at the mouth to talk up Rome Odunze. Everything that he has said makes me feel like Rome Odunze could lead the Chicago Bears in terms of targets in this offense. So I'm getting him in the 7th round. I still like DJ Moore because there's been a lot of talk about using DJ Moore as the running back, right? If DJ Moore's in that like Deebo Samuel-esque role, then even if he's not leading the team in targets, he's still going to print fantasy football bucks for you. But Rome Odunze is going in like the 7th round. He was a guy that was highly talked about going into the NFL draft. It just didn't work out in his rookie year. They switch up the coach. Caleb Williams in his 2nd year, maybe he gets better. So it just seems like potentially a recipe of sugar, spice, and everything nice for Rome Odunze to have a breakout sophomore season. After Rome, Jordan Addison Ray, Khalil, Shakira, Debo, B-Rob, Jared Goff, Tyrone Tracy. Right now, I haven't moved B-Rob in my rankings because I'm kind of just frozen, right? I'm like an ice sculpture. I'm frozen right now because I don't know what the fuck to do. I don't know if they're going to trade him. I don't know if this is just a bunch of bullshit to maybe try to get him to sign a smaller contract. I don't know if his agent is telling him to do something and then he's just going to get rid of his agent. I have no idea what the fuck is going on. There's a chance that B-Rob plays on the Commanders and then they just completely fuck him over and this is like a 4-man backfield of death. There's a chance he gets traded. There's a chance that this all just gets brushed under the rug and he's the lead back on the team like we came accustomed to. For me, he used to be a big value. Now, I just probably wouldn't click him unless he fell much further or until we have more clarification. So, don't have a quarterback. We still do not have a tight end. This is the point where you just want to be looking, hey, who's available? Has anyone fallen? Right now, we're up at pick 88, so I'm fine taking David Njoku here. Joe Flacco has been named the starting quarterback. With Joe Flacco, David Njoku has played phenomenally last season, so I feel very good about David Njoku with Flacco. Once that changes, once they pull the plug, maybe it gets worse, maybe it gets better, we'll see. But David Njoku is just one of the safest tight ends. He just always, year in and year out, produces as a top 10 tight end. I don't necessarily know if he's going to win you your league because you took him, but I know he's going to be pretty reliable. And if Flacco is able to play for a lot of the season, then David Njoku does have at least top 5 upside. I don't know if he'll be the tight end 1 because he's, in Cleveland and inevitably the team will just suck so much cock and, some crazy things will just happen. That's just what happens in Cleveland. Like the ball hitting Njoku in the hands and then he'll start, there'll be, what is that called? Like the bike with one wheel, the thing that lady goes on is it a unicycle that the lady goes in, she got hurt with at the basketball game, if you know what I'm talking about? Like David Njoku will have to ride one of those out there. It just, everything will just go wrong. But David Njoku just seems to be able to juke out that bullshit, except for when he got hurt. Was that last year because of a fire? That was crazy. And the dude came out dressed like fucking Bane. Where's the bat? And he played well too like that. So shout out to David Njoku. I've always been a big fan of him. His brother, Case Njoku, I believe his name was, played up against my high school in high school. I was about to say in college. And yeah, he beat us down, so fuck that guy. But I do like David Njoku. After David Njoku, Cam Scottibo, I'm a scat man, bop, billy pop, Stephon Diggs, Tyler Wallace, and his name might not have been Case. I don't remember what his name was, but he wasn't Njoku. Tyler Warren, Travis Etienne, Cooper Kupp, Kyler Murray, Chris Godwin, Matthew Golden-Scar, Jalen Warren, Juwan Jennings, Emeka Egbuka, Slick Ricky Pearsall, Philadelphia Eagles, Brock Purdy, Jonnu Smith, and Justin Herbert the pervert, who is now dating Madison Beer. Great success for Mr. Justin Herbert the pervert. What a guy. What a guy. We still don't have a quarterback. Team 1's got a quarterback. So does Team 2. So does Team 3, 4, 5, and 6. So does Team 7. Teammates got 2 of those bastards. Team 10, who the hell are freaking you, has one. Team 11 and Team 12. So we're the only team without a quarterback. This is when it is important to understand your league mates. If you've been playing in a league for a while, you can go into the history and figure this out. Are you going to potentially get absolutely steamrolled by your league mates right here? Are they going to take a backup quarterback before you get yours? Because if you start to fall into the range where maybe you don't like Justin Fields like I do, maybe you don't like Drake May, then if you don't pull the trigger right here, you are basically guaranteeing yourself to get fucked. Because in some leagues, even though they drafted Bo Nix in round 6, even though you draft Jaden Stormy Daniels in round 4, they're going to take a backup quarterback. We just saw it with Jalen Hurts and Justin Herbert. For me, it just never makes sense to do that because you're basically just taking out an insurance policy on your 3rd or 4th round pick, and you're never going to play Herbert over Jalen Hurts as long as Hurts is healthy. So for me, I'm going to take the gamble, hope that Dickie Dak Prescott comes back to us, and we're going to get the stack attack with Mr. George Pickens. Again, we took 3 running backs early, so we're not going to take another one. If you wanted to, I'd be in the range of a Jordan Mason, a J.K. Dobbins, Zach Charbonnet, but we're not going to do that. And we just got Njoku, so we don't need to draft another tight end. We're just going to keep hitting the wide receiver button. Now, Josh Downs could be better off now with Daniel Jones. And I say could very gingerly. I don't mean, oh my gosh, now that Anthony Richardson isn't starting, it's Josh Downs season. Who fucking knows? At least, like, Daniel Jones is just so boring. I don't know why they did that. I really don't get it. Like, they're just giving up. Josh Downs has been banged up. Now, this is something to follow because, like, if he's still dealing with this injury to his hamstring, you just don't want to draft him. But every news blurb I've read doesn't seem to be super negative on it. Like, he's going to be fine. So I'll draft Josh Downs here. Take my shot on the wide receiver 1 in Indianapolis. After Josh Downs, Jaden Riley Reed, Colston Loveland, J.K. Dobbins, Jordan the Numbers Mason. What do they mean? Denver Broncos and Javonte Williams. I just want nothing to do with Javonte Williams. I talked myself into Javonte last year. I said, you know what? He's now so much time removed from the injuries. He'll be back to that guy we talked up out of UNC. It'll be fine. It's going to be great. Shout out to Tony the Tiger. And it wasn't. I'm done with that sorry fucking bastard. We're going quarterback here. We're getting Dickie Dak Prescott to stack with George Pickens. Do you have to stack in your home league? No, but I do like to do so because it just gives me that extra upside weekly. And I also think Dak was the best quarterback available at this point outside of Justin Fields. But Justin Fields, look, let's be honest. I like Justin Fields a ton, but you will feel a pit in your stomach when you roll Justin Fields out there any week. Even if he's going to drop 20 points, which he will do a bunch of times. He will have big games. You will feel a little bit gross about it. I still like him. I will probably end up with him as my home league quarterback in a couple leagues because I typically do wait for quarterback. But with Dak, you at least feel a little bit safer. After Dak, Kyle Pitts, Dalton Kincaid, Zach Charbonnet, Tucker Kraft, Mac and Cheese, the Pittsburgh Steelers defense, Jaden Higgins, Keon Coleman, Brandon Aubrey, Michael Pittman Jr., Darnell, here comes the Mooney, Brandon Ayuk, CJ Stroud, Ramondre Stevenson, Cameron Dicker, the kicker, the Ravens defense, and the no one circles the wagons like the Buffalo Bills. Remember, if you are new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. I'm just going to give you a quick, too long, didn't read, TLDR, quick cliff notes. Don't draft a defense early. Why? Because while the Eagles might have the best defense in the NFL, in your opinion, while you love the Steelers, while you love the Broncos, they're going to have tough matchups. You want to be streaming your defense every single week. I make defense to stream videos. We're going to get our defense in the last round. We do that in every single video. And I've been streaming defenses for like 10 plus years at this point, and I have always found it to be great. Unless, of course, like you pick up the Bears from all those years ago with Trubisky, where, dude, it didn't matter who they were playing. It was belt to ass. They were putting up big points. That is very hard to find, though, a defense that is as reliable as that. And that was just one example. There's other defenses that do the same thing. But we're going to go running back at this point. We should at least draft a 4th running back, and we'll probably maybe do a 5th. We don't necessarily need to force it, though. Let's go with Jaden Blue. I don't know how healthy he is 100% going to be on Friday, right? He is trending towards playing, so that's good news. If he plays on Friday, then in my opinion, it's even more wheels up for Jadon Blue. If he doesn't play, then that adds a little bit more of a wrench in the thing. But based upon that news, I would feel pretty good about drafting him here. Again, I want pieces of the Dallas Cowboys offense because I think they could be great, and I'd rather just wait on drafting Javonte Williams, miss me with that, and just take Jadon Blue later. I don't think Miles Sanders will be the lead back, but it would be hilarious if he was, because I don't think anyone is taking Miles Sanders in redraft. After Jaden Bonnie Blue, Dallas Goedert, Najee Harris, the Pirate, Jake Bates, 9-inch Nicholas Chubb, Chase McLaughlin, as well as Drake May from the 6. Here, since this is 2 flexes, I'll probably take another running back just to add some more upside, and then we'll close it out with a wide receiver and then our kicker and defense. Austin Eckler becomes a lot more interesting now. That is who we're going to pick. Again, assuming they move on from B-Rob. This is why we typically wait until late August, early September to do our draft, because a lot of this stuff will be ironed out. But it's also 100% possible that this isn't ironed out. You take Eckler, B-Rob's back, he's still the guy, and you just got fucked out of your 12th round pick when you could have taken Trey Benson or Tank Bigsby, who could potentially be better. But for all intents and purposes, I think that right now Austin Eckler makes sense inside of the 12th rounds. Bunch of kickers, bunch of defenses, Jake Ferguson, Caleb Williams, Rashad with 2 A's White, Jordan, love me tender, love me sweet, Rashad White, Rashid Shaheed, I apologize, Tank Bigsby, Jake Ferguson, Fergalicious, Trey Harris, Justin Fields, Tajay Spears, and Luther Burden, who's also been getting the Sukala Mink, not from the head coach, but from the GM Ryan Poles of the Bears. So now we're going to go with our wide receiver again. We're not taking a backup quarterback. We're not taking a backup tight end. Normally, we take Keenan Allen with this pick, and that's not what we'll do this time because, again, I try to give you guys different looks. We're not just taking the same players all of the time. Again, the draft did start out very on brand. If you watch a lot of my videos, that's a very on brand start. I do that a lot. But after that, we really heavily differentiated from what we would typically do. So I think this was a very good mock draft and was very interesting to experiment taking that many running backs 3 of the first 4 rounds because I still do really like this team. And we just got to hope some of these wide receivers hit. So now we're just going to go with a high upside pick, right? The deeper and deeper and deeper you get into the draft, you just want to be taking high upside shots. A lot of people are big fans of the Patriots. They love what the Patriots have been building. You read the Vegas lines. The Vegas is really heavily pushing us towards wanting to like the Patriots. Again, is Vegas wrong? Yes, right? They're not always right, but they always win money, right? Because they're more right than wrong. Demario Douglas, Demario time. He's on the Patriots. He's seemingly the wide receiver 2 for now. I liked Demario Douglas last year. Did he pay off? Fuck no, baby. But, and there's a big but, shout out Mia Malkova, I do believe, shout out Savannah Bond, that Demario Douglas does have upside in this offense if everything clicks. So we'll go with him. We'll go out of the ordinary. Shout out to Alex Warren with this pick. So after Demario Douglas, Washington Commanders, left hands up. Who are we? The Commanders. Rashad Master Bateman, J.J. McCarthy, Marvin Mims, Cameron Ward, Loop. And now we are up Fruit Loops himself. And we're going to go with our kicker first. We're going to go ahead and get the boy Tyler Bass. He is questionable. I have no idea why he's questionable. Pelvis. What was he, fucking? And he heard it. Happens to the best of us. Hopefully he's okay for our team, even though Tyler Bass has massively fucked my Dolphins in the ass over the last couple of years. So now I want to close things out with our defense. Again, you want to be streaming defenses. The best streaming defense, in my opinion, we're going to make the defenses to stream video very, very soon. It's going to be the LA Rams up against the Houston Texans in week 1. Best part about them is they're going up against the Titans in week 2. Second ever start for Cameron Ward. I like Cameron Ward. I think the Titans might be like just frisky team where they're not just going to be getting butt fucked on the weekly. Shout out to Lily Phillips. I'm going to go with the LA Rams defense here. And I love that spot up against the Texans. I love that spot up against the Titans. So to recap, our team was Dickie Dak Prescott, Christian McCaffrey, Omarion Hampton, Drizzy Drake London, George Pickens, David Njoku, Alvin Kamara, Jalen waddled away, waddle to the very next day. Tyler Bass, the LA Rams, Roma Dunze, Josh Downs, Jaden Blue, Austin Eckler, Demario Douglas. Now again, this was a very unorthodox start. This was a very weird start compared to how I like to start my drafts. But if I'm being honest with you, I really like how this draft went for us. I do, again, preach to you. Just do best player available. Don't go into your draft thinking, oh my God, if I take McCaffrey, I need to take an insurance policy. I need 3 running backs the first 4 rounds. Don't do that. Don't force yourself in anything because that's just going to cause you to reach. I tell everyone, hey, go into your draft with a general plan, right? Maybe you really love getting a tight end in round 2. Maybe you love Brock Bowers, right? But what if Brock Bowers gets taken? Then you don't want to instantly pick Trey McBride 1 pick later, right? So make sure you go into your draft with a very open mind. And this is why we do the mock drafts, so that we are prepared for any dumb shit to happen. And if you guys have been playing fantasy for more than, if this is your first year, you haven't experienced this yet, but if you've been playing for a while, dumb shit happens all the time. Reaches happen. Someone takes a fucking kicker in the 5th round. Crazy things happen. So make sure you guys do hit that subscribe button if you're down below. If you are new, and whether you are new to the channel or not, leave a like on today's video. Please make sure you guys do check out my draft vlog video. That is the best video I've ever released on this channel. It took me about 18 to 20 hours to edit. It was so fun, and I had a fun time watching. I've watched it like 10 times. It's just a very fun time. If you guys draft with your home league friends, you probably will feel like, hey, that's exactly how my friends talk. That's exactly how my home league draft goes. So I hope you guys do enjoy that. I hope you did enjoy today's video. I generally love you guys so much. We're almost at 40,000 subscribers, which is just a ridiculous number. If you asked Nick, who started this channel all those years ago, would you have ever reached 40,000 subscribers? The answer to that would have been probably no. Even though back then I was a little cocky bastard, I still don't think I would have said that. But I love you guys so much, genuinely. I hope you guys have a great rest of your guys' day. And make sure you get the Patreon, get the draft guide, link in the video description. I love you guys so much. Have a great one. Check out one of the videos on the screen. As always, good boy!